Hi guys, this is your Wednesday Maths and the learning target is to reason the similarities and differences between 2D and 3D shapes. So we're taking our knowledge of 2D shapes and 3D shapes and we're really putting it to the test here to see if we can recognise those differences and use those differences as a way of sorting shapes. Okay, got a thing here. It says there are only 10 types of people in the world, those who understand binary and those who don't. Okay, binary is a code which just uses 1 and 0, and that's why that's there. Okay, because there's only two options. Okay, let's look at that a bit more. Okay, so the word binary suggests that there are only two possible answers, and these answers are yes and no. So we're going to be using questions today when we're looking at our 2D and 3D shapes, of separating those shapes with yes and with questions that have a yes or a no answer. So a binary tree is a starting point for an investigation. It prompts a question where you are looking to use a process of elimination to work out an answer. So you're going to start with several options and end with just one, going through a series of questions. Let's look at some examples and this will make a bit more sense. Okay, so here is one example using different countries. So we've got 4 different countries at the bottom. We've got Nigeria, we've got Qatar, we've got China, and we've got Morocco. And what we want to do is we want to sort out those 4 different countries using yes or no answers. So first way of doing it is, first question we've got is the country in Africa? Now you can either answer yes or no. So yes, that would be Nigeria and Morocco. Okay, so we've got 2 countries now that are in Africa. So we need to ask another question because we've still got 2. We want to get down to just 1. So is the main language Arabic? So Morocco, yes. Nigeria, no. So can you see, using those 2 questions, we have sorted out those 2 countries. So they're now in 2 different groups. Right, let's look at this other side. So countries that are in Africa, no. Qatar and China are not in Africa. So is the capital Beijing? Yes for China, no for Qatar. So it's kind of like a classification tree that we use in science. And it's just a way of using questions to sort out different groups of things, different items. And it can be countries. Okay, so here you've got another example, which is flags. So we've got, this time, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different flags. And we need to ask a series of questions so that we end up with 1 flag at the end of each one. Okay, so does the flag contain blue? No, yes, 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 yes. So only no one is Qatar, so that's there. Now we're left with these 4 that we need to split up. So the next question is, does the flag contain triangles? So no, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so we're left with the US flag, which is there. Then we've got these 3 left. So the next question is, does the flag contain a 4-sided shape? So the Union Jack, the UK flag, doesn't. It's got lots of triangles in it. This one does. Can you see it's got quadrilaterals there? The blue one and the red ones are 4-sided shapes. And this one has a 4-sided shape as well. Okay, so that one is now out and we're down to 2. Does the flag have stars? Yes, no. Okay, so each time you want to separate off some of your items, okay, until you've got just 1 left at the end of each question. Okay, so it can be for flags, can be for countries, can be for shapes. Now, I'm going to show you a shape one, a really simple shape one, which will apply for what we're using this binary tree for. You've got 3 different levels of challenge here, so don't forget to push yourself as much as possible. So it says, using the mathematical knowledge you've learned about shapes this week, create a binary tree to identify different shapes. So you can choose just doing 2D shapes is level 1, 3D shapes only is level 2, level 3 is 2D and 3D shapes, okay? And it says here you can show your binary tree in any way. So you could draw it out on a piece of paper, and upload a photograph. You could use a pic collage, any way that you like. It says just make sure your questions are clear, show your knowledge of shapes, and need to be questions that have a yes or a no answer. Okay, let's have a really simple go here. Now when you're doing it as well, you can decide how many different shapes you want to use. You can decide if you're going to use 2D or 3D and how many. Obviously, the more you use, the more complicated it will be, which is a nice level of challenge for you as well. If you're not sure, keep it simple. You can always go back and add things in, or you could always try a simple one and then challenge yourself with a slightly tricky one. So I'm going to use these shapes. I've got a square, a circle, a triangle, and a rectangle. Now, I need to look for things which some shapes have the same and some shapes have differently. And I'm going to use my knowledge of what I've been learning in the last few weeks. So I'm going to look at right angles here. That was one of the things in the work for this week. So my first question is going to be, does the shape have right angles? Okay, so we've only got two answers to that. We've either got yes or we've got no. Okay, so does the shape have right angles? Yes, the square does. Oop. And yes, the rectangle does. Okay, so I've sorted those ones. No, the circle, and no, the triangle. Okay, now let's ask another question here. Now I'm going to use that lovely word polygon, which we've been introduced to this week. I'm going to talk about regular and irregular because we've talked about that, and I know that one of these shapes is regular and one is irregular. So I'm going to say, is it a regular polygon? Okay. You can't ask, is it regular or irregular? Because the answer has to be yes or no. Okay, so yes, and that will be our square because all the sides are the same length and all the angles are the same size as well. And my no will be my rectangle because although all the angles are the same, the sides are not all the same length. Okay, so I've finished that one because I've now got answers where I've only got one shape at the end. So let's go back to this branch here. So I'm left with my circle and my triangle. So I want to use that lovely word vertices that we used yesterday. So I'm going to say, does it have, I'm going to put 3 vertices? Question mark. Yes, that's our triangle. No, that's our, no, not a square. A squircle. There we go, there's our circle. So this one is quite simple. I've just stuck to 2D shapes and I've just used 4. But if you're not confident, go for something simple like this first. Try not to use exactly the same ones that I have. Try to use different questions. Think about all that vocabulary and all those things that we've been learning over the last few days. If you're feeling bold, go for 3D shapes. You can talk about faces, you can talk about edges, you can talk about vertices, you can talk about regular and irregular. You could also combine it with 3D and 2D. That's your level 3. So for level 3, you might want to start with, is it a 2D shape? Yes or no, and that would separate your 2D and 3D. So, reminder, challenge yourself. You might want to start simple and then maybe do a second one which is a bit more challenging if you have time. Okay, so really take this opportunity to use that vocabulary that we've been using and all that knowledge that we've learned as well.